Perfect. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 2022 Public Safety Meeting. Pursuant to Public Laws of 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notices meetings were provided by posting on the bulletin board, by mailing to the news record in December of 2021, and also in January of 2022. So moved. So anyway, I'll call the attendance. Mayor Daffis.
Here.
Committeewoman Cripe. And Chairman McGehee. Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and get started. To lead this off, I will start by sharing my screen right now. And hopefully you can see my screen. And just really quickly, I just wanted to, and I'll be very quick in the interest of some of the logistics we just tweaked. A couple of things I just want to say, my chairman's statement. Just want to recognize some of the narratives that we've received in the last couple of weeks or since the last public safety meeting. And I want to be clear that the chief has asked, one first issue is the scanner, just to kind of just address that right away. So the chief has asked that the scanner and the scanner fee be moved over to 1618, which are our headquarters. This is going to be the most efficient way from an operations perspective, because now it can be monitored 24/7 at dispatch as part of their standard operating procedures, SOPs. Dispatch is the ideal team to monitor and respond to any drop-in service or offline action, which has occurred frequently in 2022. It's my understanding the IT staff has been notified and will be providing timing to the chief and to Ms. Barnett regarding the logistics. Chief, really quickly, do you have any update on the logistics? And if not, either way is fine.
So it's my understanding that the parties all had a discussion today between IT, the IT staff from the PD, and Chief Alvarez. So it's in the early stages, but they've already met about it.
Perfect. Thank you, Chief, for that narrative. The next part of my statement is just on speeding. I want to recognize we've received several complaints lately about speeding. This is an ongoing thing. There's perpetual in scope. We take them all seriously. I can communicate that, continue to see these narratives to the mayor, myself, and my colleagues. We have Captain Molloy currently in charge of our patrol division. By our standard operating procedure, what happens is that when complaints are made, details are provided or communicated to our team. And Wellesley Street in the Hilton neighborhood has been added to that list. So continue to send us those complaints, and they will be allocated through Captain Molloy to our watch commanders on a daily basis. It's a very effective process. We've been doing it for a long time. And also we have other processes in place to address speeding and hotspots. We have a limited amount of people in terms of our workforce, so we have to move around a little bit. So that's what we do. That's the nature of it. So I just wanted to make that statement and put on public record. That's my narrative. I now want to yield the floor over to Blue to give her report regarding the Community Board of Police. Blue, the floor is yours.
Hi. Yeah, I have a brief report, which is to say that we've been continuing to meet on a monthly basis throughout the summer, and working on all of our different initiatives that continue. But we most recently had just earlier this month, the October 1st, we had a meeting of the board in person. It's our annual retreat, second time we're doing it, and what it is we spend a chunk of time together, half a day, kind of going through our achievements and things we didn't get done in the year behind us, and sort of planning for the year ahead. And in this case, we focused the meeting on schools and how we as a community board can be more, I guess, involved and helpful in facilitating the kind of dialogue between the community and schools around security issues and the police. And we invited some key players from the different schools in town, and also the members of the township committee who participate in the community board's meetings. And we had a really productive conversation about kind of like, mostly it was information gathering for us about what the Maplewood Middle School principal and the Columbia High School principal and the director of security for the district, along with some members of the MPD and, like I said, these township committee members and us, the community board on police, meeting to talk these things through. And it was kind of like us getting a sense of what these stakeholders would like to see our involvement be, and how we could be kind of helpful in moving those relationships along. It was very interesting and productive, and it was great to put faces to names and be in a room together. But it felt like it was a starting place for us. Not like any conclusions were drawn from that meeting. And then we came up with our list of priorities and projects for the year, and sort of figured out who's doing what. It was a very good meeting. So I think we're all feeling a renewed sense of energy in the work that we're doing.
Thank you, Blue. And I would say that myself and Mayor Daffis, as liaisons, had the opportunity to attend a decent portion of the meeting, and thought it was great to have our principals there.
Yeah.
From Columbia High School, and also our principal from Maplewood Middle School. So Ms. Dara Ganal, to be exact, and also I call him Principal Frank because I used to be Mayor Frank. So, so that is, and they were, they great feedback, and we had I think a robust and healthy conversation about the appropriate balance of having our officers involved in the schools and what that looked like. And one of the things that we discussed was that since the pandemic, some of the programs, including Open Gym Night, because of the pandemic, went by the wayside. And so we went from 0 to 60 but we need to get back to those programs where there's these social interactions, where we build these relationships. Because anything you do, be it politically, professionally, even on your block, relationships build trust and in bonding, and we need to have those. So I thought it was, for the time we were there before we had to run to the library cutting, I thought it was a great meeting and really good conversation. Also should be noted that the new head of security for was there as well. So,
Yeah.
So thank you, Blue, for your report.
Yeah, thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to also thank the board specifically on this initiative. As it's been stated, the collaboration, I'm hoping that with their assistance, we can start collaborating more and more with the school district. I certainly don't want our relationship stifled in any way, so we're going to support them in any way. And yes, the Open Gym is certainly one initiative that we're hoping that we can get through. And I look at it as an open invitation to the district, so that way, they make the judgments for themselves and collaborate willingly. Thank you again.
Agreed, and thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
And Blue, thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on, and nice segue. We'll hear from our chief, his monthly report and narrative, and then we'll move into our discussion item. So Chief, I yield the floor to you. Feel free if you want to roll up the police metrics. I'll share some on my screen. If you want to make that as part of your report this month, I'm totally comfortable with that.
So I don't have them digitally, but I can talk them through.
Okay, I have them. If you want me, I can put them up too, by the way.
Sure. The first thing I'm going to do is talk about our UCR stats for August of 22. That's the first page of my narrative. Yes.
Got you. You're up.
Okay, thank you. All right. So we had 4 robberies in the month of August, and I'm going to detail them as follows. One of the 4, the individual did not provide us a statement. Result of this investigation so far is that all the parties are known to each other, and this information was not shared with us. It was learned as part of our investigation. So that investigation is not going far unless the victim decides he's going to provide information on this. So we have two robberies that occurred that I'm going to talk about. One occurred in the area of Burr Road and the other on Tiffany Place. So both of these incidents occurred in the evening, in the dark, and they're very similar in fashion. And also they are similar to other robberies that we have had. And I'm highlighting these two specifically because of the hour that it occurs and the circumstances surrounding it. So these circumstances are individuals or victims who are waiting around, talking with their friends. In these cases, they were relatively close to their homes. But in these cases, there were both had vehicles involved. So our detectives investigated that because it's important. And when we talk about what we can do to prevent these incidents from happening is just some situational awareness. In both of these incidents, it had been determined that these vehicles had circled the block several times in search of potential victims. It is the hardest case for us to solve. Rarely there are witnesses. Very often, especially because of COVID, very often the people are wearing masks who are involved, so they can't provide identification. So I want to say that if we're going to stress anything for these incidents that are happening on the street, please be aware of your surroundings and be cognizant that other people could be watching you. Mayor, we had one other robbery that occurred at the Wawa. In this case, in a very similar fashion, our detectives have determined through video that there was an individual watching people coming and going from the Wawa, and they observed an older male walking to his vehicle. When he got to his vehicle, they trapped him at the side, or he trapped him at the side of his vehicle. Removed his keys from the car, pushed him to the ground, and then stole his car. Again, you have situational awareness, but other than that, in all three cases we just spoke about, there's really not a lot to go on at this point as far as identifying suspects in these cases. And again, that has been the trend being suspects mostly wearing masks, approach unsuspecting people, catch them off guard, and then they rob them from either their car keys and or whatever personal property that they have. So moving on from that, we had 2 aggravated assaults in the month of August. Both of them were domestic violence related, and both of them involved arrests. There were 2 burglaries in August, and I wrote some notes on this. At one of the locations, was a residential burglary. So it was a home. They did not have any video or an alarm, and they weren't home for extended period of time. So I strongly recommend that that in order to minimize your losses, because that's what you're doing when you're talking about residential burglaries. You want to minimize your losses, so therefore you want to get a safe, one heavy enough that they can't carry out easily. You want to keep as much valuables. Remember, burglary is a crime of opportunity, and when they get in, they're looking to get out as fast as they can. So you want it to limit the time that they spend in your home, and you also want to protect your most valuable assets. With that said, the second burglary was at a business on Springfield Avenue, and in this business, the actors came in overnight hours. There was more than one. They did not have an alarm, but they did have a camera. And in this situation, the actors are seen on video. They're all wearing hoods and masks, and gloves. So there was very little for us to do. The business owners, as well as the police, recognized that that when an incident like this occurs, it does so because generally speaking, somebody inside has been there before, so they know the lay of the business. And in these cases, we advise them of some steps that they can take to further protect themselves and their valuables in the store. So, Mayor, the biggest jump that we see for the month of August is in thefts. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. The thefts include shoplifting. We continue to Officer Byron Lewin continues to work with the stores that make it very easy for people to steal things. So we're doing some crime prevention techniques with the stores. Those things take time. Typically what happens is they always put items that are on sale on an end cap, and people can take them very quickly and exit very quickly. And by the time the police are called, the individuals are mostly gone, especially if they have vehicles. Again, this is for the month, but it is a trend, Mayor, for throughout the town. Packages being stolen. Largest theft that we have year to date is packages being stolen from porches and or from either from the driveway or rear door. Several times, or even over this past month, we've had individuals walking around the homes up the driveways just to see where packages could be left.
Chief, if I may interrupt you for a quick
Sure.
second, that's a good call out. And as we head into the holidays, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, so forth, Mayor, what we could do is maybe work with Ms. Barnett, and then also in our TC meetings, myself, you make a PSA. If you order, many people order a package essentially from the Amazon of the world or Amazon Primes of the world, and I do know when you order packages from that business that you are alerted on your phone or via email and or an Alexa app. And, one thing to help mitigate is that, let your neighbors know, or as soon as the package comes, grab it off the porch or the front desk, or communicate. There's options in the app to communicate to where you want the package left on your around at or in the area of your property. So use those attributes and those options to help mitigate some of the risk, and also address some of the trend. Obviously, it can't go from, theoretically, it can't go from many to none, but obviously a crime of opportunity, as you articulated, Chief, if it's right there on your front porch and you've gone to work or somewhere for extended hours, that's that opportunity. That's the external opportunity versus the internal opportunities you articulated earlier. So we should do that, Mayor, and just have that and start that PSA maybe starting next week and then throughout the holiday season to help just raise awareness. It doesn't happen everywhere all the time, and so I think we're very comfortable in certain extents with our community and the safety of it. But these are crimes opportunities. So, Chief, I yield the floor back to you. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, so that is absolutely one of the largest crime trends that we're seeing right now, and I think that also has to do with the culture, right? We are having more and more things delivered just because it's more convenient. So that makes it, by that virtue, more and more opportunity exists. So that'll go into our largest jump in crime for the year, which is our auto thefts. So for the month of August, we have had 9 auto thefts, and you'll see that 9 out of 9 had their keys in them. The cars were unsecure and had their keys in them. So makes it very easy opportunity, right? You can't make it more easy. So what I'd say, Mayor, is this: as the cold months are upon us, and I know we've had some surprising mornings already. We have to share the information that these trends are occurring in Maplewood, in the state, and throughout the country. And now that it's getting cold, I suspect this is the time of year, just like the packages with the holidays. This is the time of year that people are going to want to warm their cars, not pay attention to what's happening. And then they're going to fall victim to have their car stolen.
And-
I never recommend that you do that. You run the car.
Yeah,
And leave
Chief,
it
it's just looking at the report of the 9, it seems like a person or people walked a couple of streets, lifting handles and looking for if the doors, some of the cars they go in when you lock them.
Yep.
And they're lifting handles, and they're not lifting one. There must be multiple people that are jumping in. And I know this is a trend across Essex County because I was on that one call with many other public safety call, and I know we're not alone. It doesn't mean it makes it right, but that's, they're bringing people in and they're bringing them to Newark to strip and to sell for some of them. So I see. Okay. I appreciate that.
And what you just mentioned, just to follow up on that, is that these things happen, especially these auto thefts, in a split second. You turn around. I can't tell you how many of these you turn around and somebody's in your car. And the reason is because, they're watching you, right? And just like the robbery incidents before, is that you're not aware or cognizant that that there's people looking to do this, both for benefits as well as value. These cars are worth money to people, right? If not for their parts, for means of transportation, for the things that you have left in your cars, right? Take your items out of your cars, especially your keys. That's my recommendation.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, just to wrap that up, the monthly crime report that we've detailed, we've had no additional referrals to the Restorative Justice Initiative this month. We have seen a very large increase in juvenile arrests. We have seen, and this is since COVID. So you're talking about since the past 2 to 3 years, a very large uptick. The juveniles have been involved in robberies. They have been involved in carjackings. Have been involved in stolen cars. A majority of them are stolen cars. So we've had a lot of interactions with juveniles involved with serious crimes.
And Chief, if privy to this knowledge, the juveniles, are they local residents or from other areas in New Jersey?
So I can't say they don't involve our juveniles, but the majority are from the neighboring towns. 90%.
Understood.
95.
Understood. Thank you for that narrative. I have no questions for you. I appreciate your narrative of the report. Obviously, it's provided beforehand, and so I read it.
Yes.
Mayor, any questions that you have for the chief at this time?
Chief, it's not really a question, and I'm, I just. The thefts are one thing, the car thefts, I'm heartened at least by this report that the cars have all been recovered and recovered very quickly. So that's just a testament to our excellent police work. But, going back to the robberies, my question is, are we internally strategizing to combat this in the way that we can, at least with increased police presence throughout town? And that's something that, as Chairman McGehee alluded to earlier when he talked about speeding, it's the #1 thing that people are asking us about a lot lately. This is the other thing that people are asking us a lot lately. They're saying, we never see our cops anymore. We used to see them drive through, drive by, and it's just quiet. We never see any police presence. So, I just kind of want to make a call to action or a plea for you as chief to sort of strategize to increase police presence, and perhaps that could be one of the mitigation factors that we employ to combat this.
So Mayor, I can tell you a few things. You know, we don't like to talk about tactics, and I won't talk about tactics, but so let me see if I have that last date. So the last incident occurred on August 21st. We have moved resources and we haven't had one since. So where I won't talk about tactics, what we do is we make judgments based on the information that we know, when we try to put those resources in place.
That's great, Chief. And I think that's what our residents need to hear, that we are mobilizing and we are putting resource out there, and our data shows that that's having an effect.
Correct.
That's all that we need to communicate at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, and seeing it, Ms. Kripe is not with us, we will go ahead and move on. Do you want to cover the overtime real quick, Chief?
Sure, I sure will. So you have the report, and I'll do a brief overview. We are up in overtime with our supervisors. That's the 911 watch commander's position. We are down, way down with our police overtime. And we are down with our dispatcher overtime, and that all equals to a 14.89, roughly 15% decrease in overtime overall compared to last year. Total costs were up that's cost, salaries, overtime, and wages. Overall, we're up 6.72%, and you know, their contractual, including their contractual raises, we're still below. So knock on wood.
In my company taught me in the UK, touch wood, that's what they say.
There you go.
You know, one thing I think we should recognize is that, you know, when you think about the table where we are, inclusive of, you know, some people that have FMLA and other things, that
Right.
the trend is comfortable. And also, you know, obviously we can discuss salaries, but you're right, there's, you know, the new contract obviously is going to be higher than the baseline. So it's not really apples to apples. But it is a good story. And I know we're focused on our dispatch in the 911 and fighting the OT. So I
Yes.
think it's a good story, especially since I've seen this for 6 years. I've seen the other story. So I will say great job on this. And Mayor, any questions or concerns on OT?
No, sir.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So we have covered the metrics. We've covered your narrative. I have one discussion item, which I sent out a week or so ago, and that's just regarding parking around the middle school for teachers and staff. Just for the narrative of the public, a teacher reached out to me, one that I'm familiar with, because when we changed the parking, in fact, this is the first thing you and I worked on, Chief, and when it came to changing the traffic flow and traffic patterns for schools. I think MMS was our first school and Tuscan was our second school, and we met with the teachers and administration. So anyway, that's another time for another day, but this is regarding just parking. I don't think this is something that we will solve here in public safety. I think we need to take it probably to the greater TC or maybe some other group to talk about, but I think it's a supply demand issue.
No, Mayor, we have this covered.
Okay, go ahead.
This is merely a communication. This is merely a problem with communication, and I will tell you the process. The process is that the middle school staff get a permit from town hall, and the permits were delayed this year. It is as simple as that. So in this circumstance, I've been reaching out. I've been reaching out to the principal to offer another way to solve this problem until these permits are obtained. So what we've come up with is that they're going to provide us a list of their staff and their plate number so that we'll know them, and that they're going to put temporary placards in their vehicles so that way we know who they are. So the ones that got tickets, there was no way, to be fair, there was no way for our parking officers to know who they were, right? So I can't come down on my parking officers, right? So this was merely a delay, that they didn't get the permits in time, and that this is something that we'll have rectified without any additional input from the TC.
Thanks, Chief. That's one less thing for us to worry about, and appreciate it. I will also follow up with this particular teacher, communicate this narrative to her tomorrow, and tell her to follow up with the principal for more feedback.
Yes,
And Mr. Chairman, we've been following up with the principal,
I have.
MMS, so that we can get a comprehensive list. And as soon as we get that, I think this will be solved pretty quickly.
I love it. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Chief. It's good. It's good news. All right, we've exhausted our agenda for this evening. We are now at public comment. So Bailey, without stressing yourself from a voice perspective, I know you're very much under the weather. Is there anyone that would like to address the Public Safety Committee at this time?
First up, we have Allison Murphy.
Okay, Ms. Murphy, you're welcome to address the Public Safety Committee. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much for letting me speak. I'm here again as a Seth Boyden parent. We attended several meetings last spring talking about the issues with crossing guards, and I know we are working on, we have worked on changes around the streets. I think February, when we were having this issue, I set up a Google Doc or Google form where our parents could log anytime we had issues with the crossing guards, just so we could sort of keep track of those issues. And I have 7 entries in the past 3 weeks of concerns that parents have had with unattended crosswalks or other issues. So I'm here tonight to just bring this up. And I want to say that I am coming here not with pitchforks ablaze. I really am asking for help because we're having issues where crosswalks are unattended and we're having little kids crossing these busy intersections. My bigger concern is that it seems like at times there is a breakdown of communication within the police of knowing whether people there or not. For example, and I have this list, I'm happy to share the dates if that's helpful.
If you can share the list, I think just with us, just email us the list.
Sure, I will absolutely do that. On September 28th, I was driving my kids to school and I was driving along Springfield with Walgreens on my right, and there was no one at the intersection. And so I called the non-emergency number and was told by the person who was very friendly and polite when they answered the phone, they said, oh, there's a guard at that intersection, or there's an officer at that intersection. And I said, well, I'm here right now. There's no one here. And when another parent called on October 7th, they said, they called the non-emergency number and he said that he checked the camera because he didn't believe me. So we're not making this up. We really just want to have these crosswalks attended. Just for a little bit of reference, our start time of school is 8:45. Our dismissal time is 3:15. We still have 4 large school buses coming to school every day. Because of the changes in transportation, there are fewer riders on those 4 buses. So we have more parents now walking and driving kids to school. I know that a lot of parents are using the parking lot at Maple Crest Park, sort of by the skate park. So they're parking their kids there because we're trying to not inundate the school with too many cars. but that means there's even more people trying to cross that intersection. And of course, that intersection is also used by Columbia High School students, Maplewood Middle School students who are going the opposite way, and just patrons of businesses and people that live in the town. One other question that has come up in some of these calls is that people are seeing that on the days when there is an officer there, the officer is often getting in the car at, as somebody said, 8:44 and 59 seconds. So at 8:45, they're out. And I completely understand that we are short-staffed as everywhere else. But the concern is that if anybody is late to school, and anybody with little kids knows that there are mornings that you are late because you don't get out on time, if you get to that intersection a minute after 8:45, no one is there. And so, Chief Duvall, I don't know if you could explain to us what the time frame is that people are there, if it's possible to have the officers stick around for 10 more minutes to help the stragglers get there. Some of the parents were concerned that they are trying to cross that intersection after they drop the kids off at 8:45, and then they're walking back home or back to their cars. And it's intimidating to cross that intersection even as an adult. I realize the crossing guards may not be there for the adults, and that maybe they don't stick around after the kids are there. But if you could talk about that, that would be great. So I have this list of the incidents. I will happily share that with everyone. And then the other issue that was mentioned by a parent is that someone shared a photo with me of cars parked illegally in the new area that has been blocked off with the yellow lines on
Sorry.
Tuscan at 255 Tuscan. And I know that this is probably Seth Boyden parents, and I don't want any of my fellow parents to get ticketed, but this parent was saying it was really scary because the crossing guard said to the parent, I can't see who's coming because those cars are parked there illegally in front of that apartment building, the blue one at 255 Tuscan. So we're going to keep logging this, but my hope is that we don't have to keep logging these incidents. And so I would love to work with you all to figure out a way to make sure that the officers are really there. And on days when the crossing guard calls out sick, that we're both of those intersections at Tuscan and Burnett are attended.
Ms. Murphy, thank you so much for your narrative. I took some notes, which I rewrite later, typically after meetings. And I'm going to yield the floor to the chief as the expert, but I do think that definitely there's an opportunity to be consistent in communication, meaning that if a crossing guard is there or is not there, what that protocol is. And Chief, I'll yield the floor to you to explain that. And then also, I would say we need to make sure that whoever's manning or manning the phone, that they know how to speak properly to residents. You don't say you don't believe someone. That's unacceptable to me. And then I would also say the timing, I yield to the chief, and I appreciate you not wanting to call out your fellow parent or guardian, but it's still unacceptable. You can't park there, and you're actually endangering kids and potential classmates of your children. So there's no excuse for that. Chief, the floor is yours to address the logistics and communication, guard, no guard, and the timing of officers and guards who are present.
So, the times that the officers there generally depend on what school corner they're on, but we're talking specifically about Spring and Burnett. So the officers get off at 9, and my guess is they're being overzealous and leaving early. So my guess is that's something that I can look into to make sure that they're not running out early. I don't see any of your requests as unreasonable or not easily fixed. Can stress with the dispatchers, not to be rude. When the parking, unfortunately, our parking enforcement officers are usually on a school post at the same time, so I'm not going to get them over there to enforce the yellow zone. But certainly the officer leaving early is something that I can address. And I want to encourage you to continue to give me this information. So, if you weren't aware before, you're aware now that our cameras capture that corner, right? So that also means that I can watch them leaving early. So I don't think that that's going to be a heavy lift.
Very good, Chief. Thank you. And maybe also as a suggestion, Ms. Murphy, to take back to the PTA you know, and administration is to remind parents, you know, that parking area it's illegal. And we do that, and it's done for a reason, as we continue to keep working with you and other constituents to find ways to improve and enhance, you know, the walking conditions and, you know, there in that area. So thank you again. I mean, seriously, you know, for me, I appreciate seeing you and getting these updates. I appreciate in advance the list and, you know, it's important. So thank you.
Yeah, I find it very helpful as well.
100%.
Yeah, and as you were saying, I will reach out. I didn't think about this in advance, but Mrs. Glander, our principal, who is amazing, world's greatest principal ever.
I talk to her a lot.
She's wonderful. And she is really good at reminding parents. She sends a newsletter every week, and the PTA also sends a newsletter every week. So I will ask in both of those places. She reminds people all the time not to be pulling into the driveways and, you know, proper behavior for drop off. So we'll ask her to just mention not parking in, you know, the yellow areas. And what's the best email address that I can send this so that everyone can get our little log here?
Great question. I will put it in the Chief, just communicate your email address, and I'm going to quickly pull them up and
Sure.
put them on the shared screen.
So
Yeah.
all of our email addresses are the same. It's our first initial and last name. And so
At-
at maplewoodnj.gov, maplewoodnj.gov.
GOV. Yeah. We've simplified our email. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to thank Ms. Murphy. Ms. Murphy, thank you for taking the time out tonight. You're always very insightful and very thoughtful and collaborative. We want to encourage you to keep doing this. This is not a nuisance. This is not
No.
a bother. This kind of advocacy and this kind of a collaboration is exactly what we need, because many times you are our ears and eyes on the ground, and that's what it takes. So thank you. And I will see you in a different context on Saturday for some pie eating and pie judging.
Thank you for that shout out for Harvest Fest. Yeah, and I hope that I don't have to be here every month, but I will be here every time there is one of these incidents to keep bringing it up to you, because obviously these are our most precious commodity is our children's. Well, not commodity is the wrong word. Our most precious valuables.
Now that you have my email address, I would just ask that you, if it's a one-liner, I wouldn't want to wait, because now, you know, it could be several weeks before something gets addressed. A one-liner will take you very little. I answer every email to make sure I'll acknowledge it, and then it'll give me opportunity to look into it.
Great. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. And then take a quick, you got them? On the, awesome. Okay. All right, thank you. Ms. Barnett, is anyone else like to address Public Safety Committee at this time?
I see no hands.
Thank you, Ms. Barnett, and keep that voice. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I will second it. I want to thank everyone for your time this evening and
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.